The pictures that you're about to see were taken in the summer of 1928. It's a trip that I took from Jupiter, Florida to the west coast of the United States and back. My dad had a ranch in Oregon in that period of time, and I went out to spend the summer with him. His ranch was located in Myrtle Creek, Oregon. He raised mohair goats, did a little farming, and other types of things. His venture lasted about 3 years, after which he sold out and settled in Lower California. These pictures depict the start of where my dad's ranch was located, at the bottom of a ravine, surrounded by tall trees, beautiful valleys, and picturesque mountains. As you'll soon see, at the bottom of this gully is where the ranch was, right there. Notice how tall the trees are and how deep the gorge is. I pan a little bit to show you the area so you could see the mountains, the mountainous terrain, and the nice valleys. Beautiful country. Not too hot in the summer and not too cold in the winter. This is a thrashing operation being done on one of the farms just south of my dad's ranch. Whenever there was work to be done, everybody pitched in. Here we are doing a little horseback riding. We went up to the top of the mountain that day. Here we are again. That's me along with a friend. Here we are at the top of the mountain overlooking the valley. We're about 6,000 feet above sea level. Beautiful country. This is the proverbial swimming hole, fed by cool mountain streams. A beautiful sight. This is the lookout on the Columbia River Highway, overlooking the Columbia River on the Oregon side. This is one of the falls. There are many falls along the Columbia River. This is a rather famous fall. It's the longest falling fall in the United States. I walked behind the fall in order to get a better view of what was going on. There was a ledge under there which I was able to get and shoot through it, looking downstream. Now this is the same fall, but looking upstream, beyond a little bridge. Here's a gorge that was carved out by one of the falls through many, many years. Another fall, another gorge, another fall. Still another fall. This was called Horsetail's Fall, obviously. Here's the train going underneath the lookout area, panning to across where the Bonneville Dam is located today. This is looking across to the Washington shore. This is on the south side, Oregon shore, panning across to the state of Washington. Panning still further to the location towards Astoria. Now here we're looking down from the lookout to the flats and the trees and the sort of the secondary waters of the Columbia River. You can see some yachts at the bottom there, parked along the banks and the shore. This is now we're looking back now to where we took the pictures before, to the lookout on the Columbia River. Again panning across to the Washington State. Now this is the entrance to the Mt Ranier National Park. My dad and I climbed that. It took 3 days, and we stopped all along to take various pictures. This is a picture of the largest permanent glacier in the United States. It ran from the top of Mt Ranier to several miles from the base. Lots of snow, even in August. Here we are above the timberline, looking down to the various valleys, about 9,000 feet. Here we are looking towards the summit and showing the steepness of some of the areas that we climbed. Still further up towards the summit. Here we are almost to the summit, looking down to one of the permanent glaciers, and you can see the crevasses. And you can look way down and see other snow-capped mountains in the distance. This is from the top, 14,408 feet above sea level. Here's another glacier showing crevasses and other precarious positions along the way. Here we are, almost back to our campsite. Here we are at the base of Mt Ranier. These shots were taken some 3 or 4 miles away. Now this is the glacier that I mentioned before. It slides down a gorge, rolling the stones, carrying debris with it. And here the snow is quite black, laden with debris. This gorge, by the way, goes from Mt Ranier all the way down into Oregon to the area of Mount Hood. A lot of debris. We had to be very careful walking around here that we didn't dislodge something. This is the gorge that I mentioned that finds its way to the vicinity of Mount Hood. Here we are near Mount Hood. Another shot of Mount Hood a little closer. We took the trip around it. There's a road that completely circled it. Very spectacular area. Now here we are back in where my father's ranch was, looking at the farmhouse just south of his. This is the valley, depicting the beautiful scenery. They raised a lot of fruit there, apples, peaches, and plums. This is San Francisco. This is the zoo at the park in San Francisco. Golden Gate National Park. This is the Pacific Ocean looking south from the vicinity of where the abutments are now for the Golden Gate Bridge. Now this is the shot from the train entering the Mojave Desert on the way back to Florida. Rather warm in the Mojave Desert in those days, and there was no air conditioning on the train. This is El Paso. We stopped there and looked around a bit while they processed the train. This is an engine that used to pull the cars and other paraphernalia on the Southern Pacific Railroad. It has been retired. And we were back in Jupiter just in time for the 1928 hurricane. This scene was taken about 4 o'clock in the afternoon at Jupiter Beach Road. The storm had just started. The center passed us somewhere around 2 in the morning. Now this is a spot showing the devastation and where my mother and stepdad stayed. They were afraid to stay in the house on the property because they're afraid it was not built right. It wasn't. And they would not be here, they would not have survived had they gone in it. Now this is Center Street in Loxahatchee, showing the area where the Hepburn family lived. This is some debris near the vicinity of Pennock Plantation. This is the end of the beginning of Center Street and the railroad track near where several of the homes and stores were destroyed. Albertson's garage and the Acre grocery store. Now this is the Sperry property showing the destruction, including the removal of the upper level of the boathouse. Now this is the end of, on the Jupiter Beach, Jupiter Loxahatchee Drive, showing some of the debris and some of the devastation at the end of the road in those days. I don't know whose house this was, but it's totally destroyed. Now here we're back to what is now Tourniquet, showing the wildlife and domesticated turkeys that are there in the... This is my cousin Mary Ryan. This is a trip that my stepfather and mother took, along with some of the guests of the Carlin house, to Havana. This is Havana. Now this is a scene taken from the being constructed Capitol building of Cuba, located in Havana. There it is, showing partial construction. Now this is the surrounding area of the Capitol building. Now this is the entrance of the Havana harbor. The family was on their way out, and that shows the north shore of Havana harbor. There is where the battleship Maine was sunk, starting the Spanish-American War. Now this is the south side of the port, and it shows Morro Castle, again Morro Castle, and Havana in the distance. This is starting the trip near the Gulf Stream on the way back to Key West. Now we're back in Jupiter again at the Turner property, looking at some of the ducks, the dogs, and please note the paraphernalia from the 28 hurricane is still there. It has not been cleaned up yet. Now Mother with the weekly groceries, Fred helping her. Now this is the Jupiter High School playground. This shot is taken from the lighthouse, panning towards the inlet, depicting where the Jupiter Inlet colony is today. Panning across to the south shore of the Jupiter River, showing the Du Bois property, the Sperry Boathouse, the then first US-1 bridge across the Loxahatchee. Now this is Ernie Histed with his little kicker boat. Now this is Jack Ziegler, the son of the first mayor, John Ziegler of Jupiter. Here we're back to the playground in Jupiter again, near the high school. Here we are at a sandlot field where we played baseball. This is a scene of the lighthouse. Looks pretty much as then as it does today. Now this is the Bradine property, which was located right next to the Celestial Railroad. This is Old Daddy, member of the Carlin tribe, getting ready to go fishing. This is the Blowing Rocks, a little bit different than they look today. This is the Carlin house. This is the Carlin house front property, showing the Western Union building. Here we are on the Jupiter Beach Road, and the inlet was closed. A scene from Ruby Heights, a sunset. One same scene taken from one of the docks, the Jupiter River. This is my uncle on his way to Palm Beach in his pride and joy. A steamer, tramp steamer going south. This is two Corvettes being demonstrated in the port of Palm Beach. They were built in World War I by Henry Ford and were used for display throughout the years. It's a baseball game. The Yankees at their winter grounds in West Palm Beach. Here's a unique historical era. This is the largest shrine convention ever. There has never been a convention this large before or after. The shots are taken from the beginning of Biscayne Blvd in Miami and ran all day long. They had many marching bands, and there was a viewing platform further down on Biscayne Blvd where the various entrances were analyzed and categorized, including giving some displays and giving some credit for the various activities of the Shriners, including first prize for the best marching band. This is looking south on Biscayne Blvd. This is the marching band that got first prize. I believe they deserved it. There's got to be a clown. This is a viewing stand at the end of Biscayne Blvd. Things are pretty well winding down. This is a group of Seminoles that came in for the festivities. I don't remember seeing them in the parade, but they must have participated. Here's the winding down and some of the trailing floats. This is the Jamaica float, I believe. And this is Key West, obviously. I'm not sure what this was. Here we're back in Jupiter again at the newly constructed schoolhouse. That's the baseball team and the principal at that time. This is shots of the Sandlot Field again. Here we are back in West Palm Beach during the Boy Scouts Jamboree. Scouting was very popular in those days. And this was a meeting where they were participating for their awards, showing the making of fire, climbing walls, all to get merit badges in these various fields. This is where the Jupiter Hospital is today. Then it was the beginning of the Everglades, lots of water. Now this is the Loxahatchee River as it passed near Indiantown Road. Now then we're back to the blowing rocks on a minor storm. They were quite different then than they are today. Now here we are at the Jupiter Lighthouse Dock with a loggerhead turtle that Frank Seabrook brought in so we could take pictures of it. Now this is Frank Seabrook, and the turtle was, there was a manatee that swam by as we were taking the pictures. This is a view on the day of the Jupiter picnic, the school picnic. Everybody in school participated. There's our principal at that period, Mr. Haddock. This is the picnic being held at the pavilion. It was located at the end of Beach Road. Here's Ernest Histed again with a very dangerous skiing expedition. My grandmother, walking in the parking area of the Carlin house, looking over the sapodilla tree. This is the Pennock Plantation. This depicts the first attempt of mechanization to their facilities. This is some of the cattle, heifers. This is inside the milking area. Some of the heifers again. They seem to like to get their picture taken. Now this is the maitre d' of the Pennock Plantation. Some of the horses that the Pennock children rode. A crab spider. And of course, obviously, this is an octopus. Many octopi in those days. Quite often in fishing, that's all you would get. I hope these pictures have brought back some memories, some insight as to how things were in those days.